What's up, boys? Boys. So hey, let's quickly talk about, I guess, to start this off, my experience with Amino Asylum. Look, I mean, people have to get, for convenience sake or for other reasons, they've got to get UGL stuff, whether it's HCG. I mean, some people do UGL testosterone. UGL stands for Underground Labs, and those are companies for sure, but without the right preparations on their or necessarily like not necessarily the right preparations on their HCG, their testosterone, their anabolics or whatever. I mean, typically that's kind of what they're selling. Some of them have higher quality preparations and actually go through the work to make the the vials sterile and to ensure that products are not underdosed. But some of them are very big in that they do a lot of revenue, and so I don't know if it's that they're not concerned about that, if they just get lower quality raws and then somehow that ends up in some of the vials. But anyway, whatever the case is, as I explained yesterday on a post, I got HCG from Amino Asylum, which is a pretty reputable company. I mean, they've been around for a while. A lot of people do get a lot of good things and review them positively. However, the HCG did register as HCG on a pregnancy test. However, it dropped my estradiol and it dropped my total T, which means that it was not as potent as the Pregnol that I was taking, nor is it as potent as another UGL source, which I can't discuss on air. This is just for educational purposes. That I've gone to for HCG in the past. So maybe I got one singular bad HCG vial. However, if Amino Asylum is selling vials of HCG that aren't potent and that aren't, potency wise up to par with something like Pregnol or, even competitor UGLs, then it's really not a company to get product from. In the Reddit threads with Amino Asylum, this company, there are a lot of posts about people questioning whether or not anything is happening with some of their products. I mean, the word bunk, and completely useless phrases like doesn't work at all have been used many times in the explanation of Amino Asylum's products. So if you got to go UGL, I understand. There are cases in which, for convenience sake, primarily I'll go UGL for certain things, but I really wouldn't suggest getting HCG from Amino Asylum. So that was that was kind of the basis of that post yesterday. I ran both total T, estradiol, and an actual HCG test on their stuff, and suffice to say, because of estradiol dropping and total T dropping, it's just not very pure. So we got some questions, so I will get to them in just a sec, guys. Give me 1 second to see what's going on. Donald Pump, good morning, bro. I'm glad this is your favorite channel. I'm glad you're here. Nudie News is saying, hey, bro, 9-MeBC is so legit. I feel like I'm on a low dose of amphetamine. Day 4 of dosing, 30 milligrams a day. Yeah, that's a good dose. I mean, that's a solid dose. That'll provide you what you need. Like, it'll give you an acute benefit of that dopamine state and stimulation. If you take it for 10 or more days, you'll start getting, massive restoration or some degree of restoration of the dopamine system, which is just very cool. Again, I don't want to say I've taken 9-MeBC a lot, but I have taken 9-MeBC enough to where I don't need to take it anymore for restoration purposes or anything, because I'll start getting impulsive, which is the indicator that dopamine's working really well. I'll get impulsive, like I'll want to gamble or I'll want to just do shit that I ordinarily wouldn't do. So the stuff works. I mean, the stuff definitely works. 9-MeBC is, that's why I made my top 10 list. Guys, down in the description are codes for 4 things. Torque is buy one, get one free. Cortex is 20% off. Nootropics Mastery, a new course that I just launched, is 50% off. Supercharged Dopamine. Talk about dopamine, that's 15% off. Also, the codes and the links are down in the description of this video. All right. So hold on, give me 1 second here. I think connection-wise, we're finally back and not having issues, thankfully. That's hugely huge. Zarfed, what do I take for inflammation? If I had some sort of systemic inflammatory condition happening or systemic inflammatory response, I would go on a Mediterranean diet, because what you put in your body is first and foremost pretty critical for reducing inflammation, as well as making it so that you don't exacerbate existing inflammation. So, and I know this not from theory, but when I had long COVID, a condition in which various neuroanatomical things are a little awry. It does fuss with your HP axis, and most people, God, I had, what's the word for it? I forget what the word is for what I was experiencing, but all kinds of neurological symptoms, heart rate symptoms, among other things. A good degree of the problem there, obviously, is the spike being embedded in monocytes and staying there. But what it causes is downstream inflammation. And the Mediterranean diet was significantly impactful for reducing symptoms in that case. So, I'd look at what you're eating and go Mediterranean. Go as much on a highly, highly anti-inflammatory diet as possible. Get as many antioxidants in real food as you can, and get things like, fish or krill oil or omega-3s in your diet. That's what I'd be doing for inflammation. At the same time, TRT reduces inflammation. It does. So testosterone in and of itself will reduce systemic inflammation. So that might be something to consider. Zarfed is also asking, how do you get rid of nocebo and placebo and know if it's really working? You stop thinking about it. That's why. People talk themselves into thinking things are placebo when it's really the effect of the drug. Stop thinking about it. It's placebo, in my experience, is far overrated and far more popularly talked about than it needs to be, to the point where people actually fucking placebo themselves into thinking it's placebo. It's like, if you're taking a neuroactive or psychoactive compound and you have an effect, it's not placebo. I mean, these things have very, very clear mechanisms of action. Mark is saying, can you dose 9-MeO-BC with bromotain? You can. I've seen it done before. I've suggested or instructed clients to do it, only under certain conditions where dopamine needed to get better, and not just for an acute buzz kind of thing, an acute dopamine buzz. Simon Marshall is saying, hey again, Ryan, what are your thoughts on Enclomiphene? I think you're saying I was icing the balls with good success and added it to, but seems negatively affecting sleep now. I think the negative response in sleep is either your testosterone going too high for your body, but it's more than likely estradiol going too high. Even though you're blocking the receptors, doesn't matter. You still have super high estradiol, and they're going to be binding somewhere. I don't think it's blocking ERA and ERB everywhere. So look at your blood. If you're on Enclomiphene and you're not looking at your blood and you're having these symptoms, negatively affecting sleep is almost definitely estradiol. So you want to look at estradiol, guarantee it's higher than it should be, and figure out how to either lower your dose of Clomid or get on something that's going to reduce estradiol. And your best bet would be Arimidex or Aromacin in that case. Simon is also saying, have you ever tried red light therapy? Yes. Many years. Photobiomodulation is the technical term for that. I think it's very useful. I did it, when I had long COVID to try to help reduce systemic inflammation. I did it on my testicles fucking years ago before I got on TRT when I was trying to optimize testosterone, and it helped on the numbers. Not very significantly, but it helped enough. And I think there's all kinds of applications for it. I've even heard some biohackers, who have, PhDs in their discipline discuss red light therapy being effective for regenerating your vision, basically, sitting and staring at red lights. I'm not suggesting you do that, and I think there's a certain frequency you shouldn't go past in doing that, but below that it's safe. I think there's a lot of really cool shit, regarding red light therapy, but you've got to have the right frequency and you've got to have the right duration, I think. Trey is saying, what would you stack Subroxy with? Look, you could stack it with another dopamine-like agent like mucuna purines or phenylpiracetam. I would suggest stacking them both in that case in medium quantities. Anything you stack with, something that will keep some more dopamine around, you should stack both of the compounds in medium quantity. You can stack it with modafinil. I've done that before too. Little potent on the dopamine side, but doable if the dose is right for you. Lewis is saying, how important is DHT for libido in comparison to testosterone? I have high test but low DHT and struggle a bit with libido. Yeah, it's important enough. It's important insofar as if you have adequate test but DHT is low, it's probably hindering your libido. Once you get DHT, but there's a cutoff point. Once you get DHT within range or high on the reference range, taking it higher than that isn't going to help your libido, and your libido still might suffer, because libido is, it's like, if you really want the full picture to libido, testosterone's got to be in the right place. Free testosterone too. You can't have it too high. Some guys on TRT, when their free test is way over the range and they're wondering why their libido is shit, they should lower their free testosterone. Estradiol, critical for, to be in the right place and to be stable in the right place for libido. Not too high, not too low. In the middle, even pushing the higher end of the range is fine for most guys. People are going to have to find their spot. It's just different for different guys. I can tolerate about 40 picograms per milliliter. When it gets above that, I've got, erection issues. But right around there or below and above 20, then I'm in a good place typically. And I think, interestingly, I feel like I'm the best at maybe 30, 27 was my number. 30-ish is fine. But pregnenolone, progesterone, androstenediol, the whole thing. Functional testicles, right? Okay, so like if your Leydig cells aren't converting cholesterol into all the steroid hormones, then you're not going to feel your best in terms of libido. Some guys will go on TRT and never get libido because they'll just require testicles to be functional and all those other hormones to still function. And the consumption of cholesterol to make it all happen. Zarfed, is high emotional low estrogen or prolactin? Too general. You need to look at bloods. High emotional would typically be higher estradiol, but if it gets very low, below 20 picograms per milliliter, then you'll feel depressed. I don't know if emotional is really the word for it, but certainly depressed. Mr. Clandestine, what supplements or food would you recommend to heal, strengthen the brain? I felt smoking so much weed doing other damage to my brain. I mean, I think if you smoked a lot of pot and you feel like your brain doesn't function as well as it could be at this point, like at your age, I'd be taking acetyl L-carnitine every day. I would be taking a multi-B, multi-mineral, so multivitamin, multi-mineral complex with just about the RDAs for everything. You don't want to go over. I think that causes problems in a lot of people. You'll see people taking these methylated B complex supplements and it's just like 450% the RDA, and they've got side effects from it. They're like, I can't touch B vitamins. No, you just need to be taking the RDA or close to the RDA and not going over. I haven't really looked into guanfacine all that much. Vigorous Steve would be a better person to ask because he does have experience with it. I think it has some degree of antidepressant activity if my memory serves me correctly. Yeah, interesting stuff. Guanfacine. It's a funny name. I'll tell you that much. It is a funny name. So we'll go that. Okay. Whoops, I just covered the whole screen with this. So guys, yeah, specials on product right now. Cortex stack 20% off. The Torque stack, hold on, let me make this actually look like it isn't crazy. Torque stack is buy one, get one free. Okay, so the code for that is in the description of the video, as well as the links for all product are in the description of the video. So yeah, Cortex and Torque. I know there are other products. Nootropics Mastery is 15% off, and Supercharged Dopamine is 15% off. All these are on discount right now. Codes are in the description of the video. Boys! You got it, bro. Simon is asking, would you have a basic protocol for early onset dementia or Alzheimer's? Close family members recently diagnosed with it. Well, the drug he's on has helped a lot. I'm wondering if maybe there's something else. Yeah. Paracetam alpha GPC. Hard to say the dose. The person's going to have to dial that in. Otherwise, uridine, citicoline, B complex, DHA, vitamin E, and a magnesium supplement together would be very effective for that. That would be my first choice, actually. That uridine stack for sure. There's a company in Australia that makes a product called Suvenaid, Souvenaid, and they have made that essentially for Alzheimer's, early onset Alzheimer's, and they have good clinical results, and it's those compounds that I just discussed. Zarfed is saying, how do you increase estradiol, and what did you take in terms of supplement when you had long COVID? Well, supplements, quercetin, anything that reduces histamine. I was taking a tad bit of resveratrol. I had been taking a chemical that basically breaks down clots, small clots, fibrous clots. I forget what that is called. It was one of the nattos, nattokinase or nattosera, or maybe both. That was all in supplements. I really think with long COVID, you've got to work on increasing bifidobacteria species because they get wiped out from that condition. So I was drinking baby formula for that, as weird as that sounds. And I was taking a strain of bifidobacteria called Bifidobacteria longum. BB536 was the specific, chemically manufactured strain. Very effective for replenishing bifidobacteria. Also, Mediterranean diet, having high testosterone, those are the things that get people better. People that aren't on TRT and aren't paying attention to their hormones generally feel like shit. Well, look, there's neurological symptoms of long COVID as well. What is it called? Dysautonomia, where the neurological system is very, very fucked up and can't figure out what it wants to do. So your heart rate is at 130 when you're sitting down, or your blood pressure goes high or low. It just does really, really weird things. And who knows why? I mean, it could be spike ending up embedding in the brain, or it could be inflammatory cytokines ending up in the brain. It's really difficult to tell. Yeah, CDP choline, definitely. Piyush, hey Ryan, wanted to know about HCG and doesn't it downregulate LH receptors? No, that is a myth. I mean, there are some intelligent TRT doctors who will suggest not going over 500 IU per day. Yeah, 500 IU per day of HCG. You either stay there or don't go over it, because then you run the risk of the effects being less significant. Receptors are receptors, and there is such a thing as desensitization of those receptors. So I assume it's possible. I've not really seen it before, but then again, I'm not suggesting people, and I'm not myself taking 500 IU of HCG a day. I think to get around that, the fastest way, the best way to get around the potential for desensitization of Leydig cells, or the receptors that HCG is binding to, would be 500 IU HCG every other day if you want to max your dose out. Otherwise, something more reasonable. Like I'm on 700 IU a week. It's 100 IU a day, and it's perfect. And I can oscillate between that and about 1,000 IU. It's like that's my range per week. And no receptor downregulation, no lessening of effects over time. If anything, HCG is the shit. I mean, honestly, I have better libido, better erection quality, better mood on TRT when HCG is in the picture. No question. I won't ever be on TRT again without HCG. I just won't. Why do some people, including me, get memory loss on paracetam? You're either not supplying enough choline, the choline source is wrong, or the choline source is dosed wrong, or your paracetam dose is wrong. Now, I don't know exactly the mechanism for that, but there could be some upregulation of choline esterase, which clears acetylcholine, and it may clear it too quickly, and therefore you're going to have a temporary issue with memory. You got to get the dose right. Unsuitable. Hey Ryan, on the topic of choline, is 100 milligrams of huperzine A and 200 alpha GPC safe for a week-long daily protocol? Safe? Nothing crazy is going to happen, but you run the risk of too much acetylcholine eventually building up, and that can become, I don't want to call it toxic, but troublesome. Like you're going to have symptoms from that. You might have nausea. You might have some muscle paralysis. Just weird shit happens when choline gets way too high. And the only way you can really do that is, combining huperzine A. You got to understand what it's doing with choline. Huperzine A is preventing your brain from removing choline and recycling it for later use. So acetylcholine at high concentrations is neurotoxic. You do not want too much of it. You want just enough. That's why I'm always telling people dose choline sources low. You want just enough above your baseline. The cholinergics, you got to be very careful and respect them like you would tequila. So no, I don't think that's sustainable. I think, if I was you, I'd be dosing that 75 alpha GPC, 40 to 80 micrograms huperzine A if I was you. Piyush is saying, so 500, I assume you're saying HCG won't cause any LH receptor downregulation if you do monotherapy. That would fix almost anhedonia, apathy-like state. Well, anhedonia is very complex. You might consider going on TRT as well with HCG. But no, 500 every other day is what I would suggest. I really wouldn't suggest pushing the max amount per day. That's 3,500 a week, I think, IU, and that's pretty significant. Most people on monotherapy do well between 2 and 2,500 IU, 2,000 and 2,500 IU HCG per week. But again, this isn't coming from me. This is coming from some of the most well-versed TRT doctors who see patients every day for more than a decade. And these guys say that above 500 IU HCG a day, then you run the risk of desensitization of the Leydig cell receptor, the receptors that HCG is binding to. I mean, desensitization can happen. It does happen, but it's harder than people think to desensitize receptor sites, and they come back relatively quickly once you stop agonizing them at heavy levels. And you can antagonize them and upregulate them a lot quicker. DJ Millen is saying, hey Ryan, would huperzine A stack with fast racetam or anything racetam? You got to be careful with that. Yes, it stacks with every racetam, but just dose it low. Again, you put too much choline into use and you're just going to have symptoms, right? You're going to have side effects. So my approach has always been, if I'm stacking huperzine A with any cholinergic, to dose everything low. Dose the huperzine A low and dose the cholinergic low, or the racetam low. Costa saying, what's your opinion on Tongada Lee? Yeah, I mean, I would take it or leave it. I don't think it's... I think it could be effective singularly for a person that doesn't have a whole lot of issues with testosterone, but somebody who's got significant problems would benefit like nil from taking it. I think it's highly overrated. I think you stack it with Fedosia agrestis. Well, now you actually have, an LH FSH receptor agonist, which will provoke, or invoke, I should say, intratesticular testosterone production. So, I mean, stacking Tongat with Fedosia would be a better option than just Tongat by itself. That would be my opinion on that, boys. Guys, again, everything's on sale right now for December. December's kind of a slow month for us, so we just like to push sales out. Torque is buy one, get one free. Cortex stack right now is 20% off. The new courses that I just launched like last month, the Supercharged Dopamine's been like honestly our best selling product in a long, long time. That is 15% off. Nootropics Mastery is 15% off. The codes for that are in the description of this video. Boys! What's up, boys? All right, any other questions, guys? If you got them, send them. We are finally doing a live stream where there is no technical issue. God, what a pain in the butt that was. I really wanted to do a live stream that day. It was like last Saturday or something. It just wouldn't work. Everything looked fine. It just wouldn't work. We're just getting a shitty connection. In the beginning, I was talking about, my warning post yesterday regarding Amino Asylum, which is a company that sells peptides and some other company. They sell like tadalafil and stuff. And the HCG that I got from them, which was definitely not potent compared to Pregnal or pharmaceutical grade HCG or, another UGL or underground lab source that I've used in the past with HCG. My testosterone, total testosterone, and my estradiol dropped for no other reason. And libido and erections kind of, were okay, but less good. It registered as HCG on a pregnancy test, but the stuff is not as potent as it could be. And I've got the bloods to prove it. Piyush is saying, it feels no matter how hard I try, I can't stop procrastinating. When I finally sit down to study, I successfully force myself, but mentally it's a whole different story. Yeah, I mean, you need raw energy in the mental game. Like, why are you studying? Do you care about what you're doing? Is there a reward on the other side? Like, are you in medical school or whatever? That should drive you. Generally, though, the neurotransmission for wanting to do things is like neurochemical balance. But you got to have acetylcholine, dopamine, GABA kind of being somewhat inhibitory. It just has to be balanced. But so much of that is controlled by sex hormones, honestly. So look at your testosterone, estradiol, get them in good high ranges. And that should change a good degree of that. Or figure out what's in your regimen that's actually causing you to feel that way and have brain fog or not be interested in stuff. Because there could be something in there. And it's sneaky shit. It's like the cereal you're eating, or it's the afternoon snack that you eat that has something in it that's, negatively affecting you. Or it's the restaurant food with all the, oils in it that's giving you some sort of inflammatory response. There's always a reason for why you don't feel primed. You should feel pretty epic and pretty awesome and very motivated to do things like most of the day. It's like if you feel like that, which is how you should feel. I should say if you don't feel like that, something's wrong, and you got to look at that. Unsuitable is asking, would physical activity negate too much choline buildup, therefore being physical for an extended period of time used up or choline? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, certainly it does. That's why some of the racetams, like phenylpiracetam, are banned in doping organizations for sports. Because your muscular contractions use acetylcholine. They're highly dependent on them. So yes, you will burn more by going and getting a heavy workout in or something. Simon Marshall is saying, one very noticeable thing from raising my testosterone is a bit clearer thinking. Yes. And verbal fluency. Definitely the fluency, and maybe that also comes because of the slight increase in confidence. Could be, but I think it's more neurological. Yeah, totally. I mean, you're referring to like some subjective thing without a mechanism. When you say like confidence is increasing it, there's a mechanism for it for sure. I mean, I'd wager you just have a little bit better episodic memory, which is primarily improved by acetylcholine, but dopamine may play a role in that too. Big dopamine and noradrenaline increase or improvement on having higher testosterone or on TRT. So yeah, be on TRT. I mean, so long as the protocol is right, you should be functioning much better than you were before. I mean, it is a performance enhancing, hormone, testosterone. It definitely is. What is ALA for you in your experience? Do you recommend taking it daily? I don't have an issue with taking alpha lipoic acid daily. I've taken it when I really felt like there was some sort of hardcore oxidative stress issue happening. I've taken it pre-boozing, which helps to keep your brain clear when you're drinking. Otherwise, if you feel like, and you really have to do some critical thinking to determine whether or not you need oxidative stress reduction, just a heavy supplemental antioxidant, then it would be useful to be taking. Piyush is saying, like my executive function feels like it's dead inside. My self-control, but pretty much zero sex drive. At 16, I try to listen, but I can't keep my brain mentally. You're 16 years old? Is that what you're saying? If you're 16, well, you're going through some hormonal changes at this point, my man. I don't know what you're taking or what your regimen is, but I can't help you based on that. I'm not sure what the word detentiate means. I'm not sure that's a word. Unsuitable, interesting. For example, working at a restaurant on your feet all day, remembering orders or making food as a cook. Yeah. I forget what your question is. Yeah, right. About choline buildup. I think so. You're more looking at to reduce the negative effects of choline buildup, intense physical exercise. Bro, what nootropics? What nootropics are Formula One drivers on? Yeah, modafinil. I don't consult any of them, so I don't know. Probably modafinil. I don't know. I can tell you that the people that I do consulting for are Silicon Valley investors, Silicon Valley entrepreneurs. I got hired by one very well-known person who chooses not to have his name disclosed, but you would know who the fuck he is. And, he's running modafinil some days, aniracetam other days, teacrine dynamine other days, the torque stack other days. Yeah, this is a high-profile individual who runs a big company that everybody knows about. But they're certainly taking stuff. Whether it's high-dose caffeine or nootropics, they are taking stuff. Because those guys have to work 70 hours, 80 hours a week. Maybe more. Okay, guys. Any other questions? If you got them, ask them. In the meantime, again, massive discounts on everything. Cortex stack 20% off. Torque stack buy one get one free. Literally the best deal. It's a no-brainer, pun intended. Nootropics Mastery and Supercharged Dopamine are 15% off. The codes are in the description, and links are also in the description of the video. Boys, what's up, boys? You got it, boys. I don't know what y'all are doing today, but I know there's a fight on. I'll watch the fight. I'll get the fight. Probably watch it tomorrow morning because my bedtime these days is just like 11. I don't want to stay up till 1 watching the fights tonight, but I want to see Covington and Leon Edwards, and I want Kobe Chaos to win that fight. I definitely do. I think he's a better fighter anyway, and I think it's just meant to be. Wooden Dummy Boxing. Epic username. Love your products to Cortex this morning. I bet you're buzzing, my friend. Yes, Cortex is a very powerful stack. Malin, I always get extreme anxiety and tenseness on modafinil. Can't tell you if you don't tell me the dose, bro. What is the dose, my man? Because the answer would be to lower it, you know. People will get away with 30, 40 milligrams of modafinil. Yeah, honestly. You know, if too much is too much, take 30 or 40 milligrams. But have a very good baseline, and then on top of that, you function pretty good. You know, I remember reading this like 20-page PDF. I forget what it was for. God, what the hell was that for? I feel like it had something to do with the FBI. I don't remember why I was studying it, but it was this 20-page document, and 30, 40 milligrams of modafinil I would run every day that I was reading it, and it helped. I forget the mechanism of action of polygala. You'll have to inform me on that. Matt Skill says he wants to stick around, but he's got to go smoke. All right, bro. Good luck, man. Good luck, my bro. Have fun, my bro. Have fun, dude. Where have I run into a lot of smokers? On COD. Yeah. Now I'm playing Warzone every day. I do not, you know, it's like Modern Warfare 2 was so bad that it promoted camping so heavily that those people have carried over into Search and Destroy on Modern Warfare 3. Movement's better and all that's better, but, you know, the camping is just out of control. So I don't even play S&D anymore. Or multiplayer. I'm playing Warzone because you're forced to move. That fucking gas comes in. You got to move, bitch. So let's go. That's where you see who really has the gun skills, the mental acuity, you know, the reaction time, the run and gun aim capacity. I just truly love Warzone, and I've been playing it both on controller and keyboard and mouse. I do both. I'm just good at both. Get sick of one, swap to the other. And I'm equally proficient in both. I learned keyboard and mouse on, you know, gaming, mostly COD. I started 3 years ago, very on and off for about 2 years. And in the last year, I've been heavily, you know, playing keyboard and mouse. And, you know, you aim better for sure. I mean, you don't have aim assists, but, you know, with a mouse, if you've got the right mouse pad, the right sensitivity, the right monitor coefficient, you can aim pretty well. And I just like the snappy movement too. It's just way better. Well, I need to know a mechanism of action for it, man, to try to help you there. Boys. Pioche is saying, well, modafinil or L-tyrosine cause addiction or tolerance? I think tyrosine, you'll probably run into tolerance more than modafinil, right? Because the brain's eventually going to go, okay, I mean, there's too much catecholamines here, so I got to do something to revert that. Modafinil's in and out, and again, it's actually concluded in literature that there's little to no tolerance. I won't say that there isn't tolerance, because there can be. But I mean, I know people have taken modafinil for 15 years straight every day. You know, they got a script for it. They take it every day. It's effective every day. You know, no side effects, and that's it. Torque or Cortex for locked in focus, they will both allow you to focus. If one is more geared toward focus, it would be Cortex. Wooden Dummy Boxing, I'm on TRT and about to take HCG for libido increase. Yes, make sure you look at your numbers and ensure that, you know, the estradiol from the HCG doesn't go out of range or super out of range. Some people can tolerate higher levels of estradiol and be fine. But generally speaking, yeah, I mean, you get the testicles functional, and therefore cholesterol can come in and convert to pregnenolone and to progesterone and then to DHEA and then to androstenediol and then to testosterone and then the mineral corticoids. You have a different neurological state, you have a different hormonal state, you have better blood flow in the pelvic region. There's a lot, and then intratesticular testosterone. There's a lot of benefits to, you know, exogenous testosterone and having intratesticular functional testosterone. Interestingly, I see people, somewhat including myself, but regular TRT, I can get libido and erections too, where exogenous T like serves, the only purpose it serves is like energy and motivation and all the neurological stuff, as well as like strength at the gym and being able to build muscle because you have more protein synthesis and more energy, but it does not a whole lot for the libido. And HCG is the missing part of the libido because some people just need to be functional in terms of endogenous testosterone and other hormone production in order to have libido and erections. Bro is saying DMAE benefits, side effects, dose, is it worth taking? Well, I think there are better compounds to take. So it's not a choline precursor. All it does is like it takes choline from certain areas and then it shuttles it to the brain and then binds to the acetylcholine or the cholinergic receptors. So, I mean, you can do that with better compounds that won't be shuttling choline away from peripheral tissues, which is what I'm pretty sure DMAE is doing. Matt Skills, you were a genius before you took nootropics. Nootropics just open up the access. Potentially, who knows? I've always been a smart dude and whatever, charismatic and all that. But I mean, where nootropics have impacted me the most is productivity. I can function mentally, cognitively for more, man hours compared to where I once was. That's it. Where I'd get fatigued prior cognitively. I'd have decision fatigue or like creativity fatigue. With the right nootropic stack, I have less of it. I wouldn't say it's completely gone, but I just have less of that for sure. And I can work, especially with hardcore stacks, for a long time. I just started another business. Maybe that'd be an opportunity to tell you guys that. I just started another company. It's something I've been doing, for a long time. It's one of my favorite things to do is to build websites. So I just started Pittsburgh Web Design Company. We're going to get a spot downtown, and I like building websites. So, I put this website together myself in like less than 24 hours. I built this whole website in less than 24 hours, literally one day. And that day I was working it took me like 7 hours in total just to build it all and make it look good and have the right text on there. And that day I was running modafinil and ataracetam. So testament to, if your brain functions really well and nootropics really aid in giving you more time to be productive because you just have less fatigue cognitively. Simon Marshall saying, if you could only take 2 compounds to a deserted island, probably modafinil and ataracetam. Yeah. And I'd try to get the choline in via eggs. I mean, those would be my top compounds. Because again, as I discussed on the video about the sustainability of modafinil, I mean, it's unlikely to become ineffective. It's unlikely for a lot of guys to even become less effective over time. It just stays very potently effective. And it's unlikely to come with serious side effects long term while taking it. So I would say if I'm on a deserted island, I need all my acuity to be able to hunt and whatever, to stay alive, to, protect myself from fucking predators. If there are other animals there, in which case I'm going to want, mental acuity. Modafinil and ataracetam. Good nootropics for socializing. Most of the racetams will be pretty good for that. Because you'll feel smarter. So much of why I can use my own experience in this, but I think it applies to other people. Why people may not feel competent socially is their brain is not working fast enough or well enough. A lot of shit and you are creative and you are charismatic. It's just if your brain works in a way which allows you to draw that out, you can be it. But if it doesn't, you won't be it for sure. I mean, I've induced crazy, crappy states from doing the wrong thing or things. And I was I was just a useless social person. In social context, I'd be absolutely useless. If I've drank in the past when I drank too much, useless in social situations, dumb, just totally dumb. Cannabis, same thing. But racetams and or other cholinergics that actually work on the neurotransmitter that helps you to be more verbally fluent and to think clearer, to think faster, usually things that work on acetylcholine, and make you better for socializing. Cutting out alcohol is a great idea. Simon Marshall, I'm a designer myself and be happy to help you out on anything, anytime. Awesome, bro. Yeah, if anything comes up where I need work that's out of the scope of what I can do or what the devs that I've got on contract can do, I'll let you know. I mean, we've been sticking to Pittsburgh since I launched this company, but if you've got clients or something, or if you've got people that want stuff done that you don't feel like doing, send them my way. We'll work with other people outside of the scope of this city. There's just a lot of business here. But awesome. I'm glad to have another fellow developer. I predominantly do WordPress development, some advanced coding in WordPress if it needs to happen. I'm proficient in HTML and CSS. Ruby, interestingly, I learned some time ago, which I like. Not a whole lot of application for Ruby in what I do, but kind of interesting. E-commerce websites, I enjoy setting those up, building them out, and things of that nature. WooCommerce, Shopify, things like that. Zayad is saying injection frequency on TRT on HCG2. Yeah, 700 IU HCG a week, split up into everyday injections of 100 IU, 140 milligrams testosterone a week, split up into everyday injections of, I forget what that is, per day. But that's my dose. Oh, it's 20 milligrams a day. Yeah, 20 milligrams a day. Yeah, look, I've tried all kinds of injection frequencies and whatever, and I end up doing better with controlling estradiol, keeping levels very stable. And I would say it's just like I have zero side effects on TRT with an everyday injection strategy. Whereas if I inject once a week or even every 3.5 days, it's just I get overstimulated. The estradiol is harder to control, and I just don't like messing with that. I've got other things to focus on right now. So this person is asking about a long COVID protocol. It's a difficult one, man. First of all, anti-inflammatory diet. So go on Mediterranean as soon as you can. Don't drink alcohol at all. If you drink caffeine and you require it, cut it down in half. Drink very little of it. Take Claritin or an equally potent H1 receptor antagonist. You may get away with taking an H2 receptor antagonist at the same time or in lieu of that, because you have an overactivation of a histaminergic response in long COVID via excessive cytokine release. I would consider replenishing the bifidobacteria species in your gut. There's literature to suggest that it gets wiped out in long COVID. I would either optimize hormones naturally or get on TRT, because you're disrupting HPA axis by having long COVID for sure. It's disrupting it. It's disrupting the signaling of your, gonadotropins down to the testicles. And so does the goddamn thing, by the way. Fucking disrupts all kinds of shit. Proven in literature. Ain't no conspiracy about it, bitches. That's what I'd suggest. Trey is saying, I was drinking 4 times a week and cut down to once a week. Life-changing. Totally. I mean, it takes me 2 or 3 days to recover from drinking alcohol. It takes me, 30-something hours to recover from a bad meal. And one might go, well, you're not healthy if that's the case. No, I feel great. And it's like, I know what that feels like. And a terrible meal or alcohol will fuck that up for, a day, 2 or more. Energy and libido higher. Oh yeah. Alcohol is the libido killer. It just converts your test to fucking estrogen, may raise your prolactin a couple points. There's nothing good about it. Mess with neurotransmitters. I mean, post-hangover, you'll have a good libido. Post-hangover. And that's because you got a bunch of growth hormone, bunch of hypothalamic dopamine release. I don't know why that happens post-hangover, but it does. Costa, what's the ratio of doses when taking uridine and CDP choline? 150 and 75 would be the doses. I don't know what that turns out to be ratio-wise. Piyush, would you suggest nicotine gum for focus and executive function? I'd suggest patches, 7 milligram patches over gum, definitely. I mean, the patches may help, or gum may help you, but I would suggest patches for the most pronounced effect, and don't go above 7 milligrams. I mean, you can try, but that gets it. If you get overstimulated and you start, having heart palpitations or something, I warned you. I mean, you're not going to die, but nicotine can be very, very powerful if you're not used to it. Again, guys, Cortex stack 20% off. Torque stack, buy one get one free. That's crazy right now. Codes are in the description of the video. Nootropics Mastery and Supercharged Dopamine, both 15% off. Codes are in the video. And if you need a web designer, and I don't spend a whole lot of time on this because I'm running Cortex Labs, but I have been developing a web design firm in Pittsburgh right now. Keep us in mind, bro. Links will be in the description below for that moving forward too. We do business websites, e-commerce websites, all kind of stuff. And I'm not transitioning out of Cortex Labs. I did mention this to some people, and they were like, are you killing the company? Nah. I just, Cortex Labs is so automated at this point. Shipping, production, all that stuff is automated. So I have a lot of time on my hands. And I honestly just like doing new stuff. What adaptogens do you take? Predominantly bromontane, which is a synthetic adaptogen. It's not an herbal adaptogen. But bromontane is probably the only adaptogen that I'm taking somewhat consistently. Trey's got a goal of alcohol use for 1 to 2 times per month. Killer, bro. Killer. I mean, you still have recovery days after boozing, you know, but it's not going to be as much. And it gets less and less over time if you just don't drink. I haven't touched a shred of alcohol in more than a year. The last time I was drinking, I was getting, it just always gets to the point where I'm drinking too much. Like I would get a bottle of wine and then drink a half or 3/4. Like that's too much fucking wine, dude. Just because wine's so good, and then alcohol on the GABA receptors makes you want to drink more alcohol. It's just like, ugh, no way, bro. No way. I don't even eat it when I go out to socialize anymore. If I'm going on dates, I don't care. Give me a coffee. I'm better. I'm better on coffee than I am alcohol. Brain's faster. I'm just chilling, man. Like she can drink all good, you know. I want her to have a drink or two just to relax, you know. Not fucking 10. And I certainly don't want to drink. Best way to inject bifidobacterium pill or make yogurt. Ingest rather. Yeah, BB536 bifidobacterium longum supplement would be one way to effectively do it. That, you know, will colonize to an extent, especially if you help it colonize by giving yourself prebiotics. The best way that I have found to replenish the bifido species is to drink baby formula. Okay, Similac 360 Total Care. Chris Sanchez, why did you skip me? Are you not answering these types of questions? Not sure what your question is. There's just a lot of questions coming through. What can I stack NABC with? Is NSI 189 okay? I forget the mechanism of NSI 189, so if you can put that in the chat, I can answer that question. But, you know, also, why are you trying to stack 9-MeBC? You know, predominantly a dopamine restoration chemical. You can take it acutely, you know, for brain performance, but I would take it by itself for that. Highest dose of Suboxone, I think, was, oh God, I went over 300 and I felt a little weird, I forget what the fuck was happening. I didn't feel right. I felt like my memory was a little disorganized. Something weird happened when I took too much Suboxone. But I mean, you know, it's studied at 500 milligrams, right? That doesn't mean that people are going to respond to that. It's dosed at 100 in most commercial products. So, you know, 50 I started out with, I believe it was like fine, notice something, 75 better, 100 was like, you know, max effects. If I go above that, I start feeling a little weird. But I mean, my brain's different, you know. It's like, who knows what dose you'll respond to. Piyush wants to start nicotine for benefits, but I'm too afraid of getting addicted. Yeah, if you're worried about that, your worry about it is going to make it so that you either do or that the potential for addiction is stronger. You know, you're like placeboing yourself into being, you know, getting addicted to nicotine. I would just chill and relax, dose it, you know, for one day and then don't dose it for the next 2 days or whatever. Or, you know, recognize that it's useful, beneficial. There's really no long-term deleterious effects from it and consume it every day. I mean, who cares? Like, it's just the notion of addiction that's bothering you, you know? I'm addicted to my coffee in the morning. You know, I'm addicted to the 3 p.m. or so caffeine that I ingest in a small, one of those very small Coke cans. Coke. I love it. I have no problem with it. I'm addicted to certain kinds of food, you know, that like make me feel good and make me function good. No problem. Preston, good to see you, bro. Thanks for being here. Ryan, good to see you, man. No questions today. Just want to thank you for spreading the kratom awareness. Oh, awesome. I just had to start taking it. I had just started taking it when your videos came out, and that probably saved my ass. Hopefully, bro. Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad. There's just not enough education about it. You know, there's a lot of silly YouTubers out there saying kratom for anxiety. Oh, it's good. No. Not when you inhibit dopamine and you raise your prolactin and you inhibit your gonadotropins. It's just like the long-lasting sexual side effects people have from kratom use is comparable to PSSD, which is a condition where your sexual function is muted for years from serotonin drugs. So, yeah, you don't want to take kratom. There are better ways to deal with whatever issue you have. Neurotransmitter that regulates pelvic floor function. Probably acetylcholine, if there is one. How do you stop eye irritation from working in front of a PC? That's a hard one. I don't know. I mean, I get that after 6 hours of gaming, at which point it's just time to stop gaming. But I don't know. I mean, work on your. I don't know. That's a difficult one because I don't really get that. I can work for a while and not get eye irritation. So I mean, I imagine it's something to do with your vision or your eyes in general. It's hard to say. Could be something neurological. Protocol to help with SIBO. That's a difficult one because SIBO tends to just come right back no matter what you try to do to kill it. Yeah, I think like the opposite of what people say. I think you do want to take antimicrobials to try to reduce the quantity of the, oh god, it's an archaeobacter, I believe, that overgrows in the small intestine. But at the same time, it's like, oh god, what's this woman's name? The woman from Found My Fitness, Rhonda something. She contends that you get SIBO from not eating enough carbs, and then some of the bacteria species that require carbohydrates or that will do better with carbohydrates kind of need carbohydrates, make their way into the small intestine, and they end up staying there. So it's a difficult one. I'm getting a request on a video about upregulating D2 receptors for DDR2 gene transcription. The last time you told me 9-MeBC. Yeah, it would be 9-MeBC. I mean, that's the only compound that I know of that would do that. The only other way would be to try to antagonize them temporarily. And you'd have to use an opioid receptor agonist for that, which I wouldn't suggest even getting into. I just wouldn't do it. Trey is saying, Dad wants to know if cordyceps, shilajit, and tribulus raise blood pressure. They might, via some stimulation or maybe some modulation of dopamine. What is it? D2 receptor activation from cordyceps. So it's possible. Dopamine interplays with blood pressure to an extent. I think if he low dose, so what I would suggest, Trey, is tell your dad to low dose each of them individually and then have a cuff to see, blood pressure cuff, and monitor blood pressure over 24 to 48 hours. Then bring in the next one, low dose, with the first one that he started, monitor with a blood pressure cuff over 24 to 36 or 48 hours, and then bring in the final compound. If he wants to stack all of them, just kind of work your way up slowly. But I don't know how that would react to somebody who may be, it sounds like he might be, predisposed to higher blood pressure or something. So you just want to be careful. Brain cells reparation compound. Probably the best one. Dihexa, which has just recently become not legal, or at least not legal to be prescribed. We don't talk about sources here, Jordan. And for the record, for everybody else, not that I won't have to say this 100 more times, we can't talk about sources here. YouTube doesn't allow that because they think that we're selling things that we shouldn't be selling, which we're not. We're not YouTube. So either way, we just don't discuss sources anywhere. You got to be clued into the community. I mean, I'd go to the Nootropics subreddit if you want to, figure out where people are getting their brain performance enhancing stuff from. Longecity.org would be another forum to find out where people are getting their brain performance enhancing chemicals from. That's basically the gist of it, my boys. All right, guys, again, everything. So 4 major products on sale. Number 1, the Torque Stack, which is buy one, get one free. So Torque is buy one, get one free. Torque is buy one, get one free, guys. Torque is BOGO right now. Codes in the description. Cortex, 20% off a bottle of Cortex. Links in the description. Both the new courses, Supercharged Dopamine and Nootropics Master, 15% off each. And the codes and the links are in the description of the video. Boys. All right, guys, I'm going to end the stream. Epic questions. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. What is it, Saturday? If you guys are watching the fight and staying up, God bless you, because I'm not sure I can stay up. I've been going to bed early, so I get tired around like 10:30. I'll order it probably and then watch it tomorrow morning. That's probably what I'm going to do. Great questions, you guys. More content coming this week. I got a lot slated for the week. Now I'm on a regular, either every day or every other day routine of content. Finally, I feel like we broke past like the YouTube shadow ban. We're about to hit 24,000 subs soon, which is great. So we're finally actually growing the channel. So I'm excited about that. Costa, you're welcome. Everybody else, great questions. Talk to you later, boys.